On today's Movify Book Club episode, we're diving into Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter, exploring how seeing your life like a movie, complete with soundtracks, montages, and big rom-com actions, can make even ordinary moments feel cinematic. So, grab your popcorn, get comfy, and press play on your inner soundtrack because it's time to Movify your life. Welcome to the Movify Your Life show, the plot twist you've been waiting for. I'm your host, Jessica Grace Coleman, and through the Movify Your Life method, I'll show you how to step into the starring role of your story and create a life worth watching. Every Movify Monday, you'll learn how to turn everyday moments into unforgettable memories, activate your main character energy, and use cinematic tools to boldly chase your biggest dreams, like the movie star you truly are. Because when the credits roll, I want you to look back at your life like it's the greatest film ever made, full of meaning, magic, and most importantly, zero regrets. And because I truly believe everyone deserves to live an epic life fit for the big screen. So, grab your popcorn, cue the music, and together, let's Movify your life. Welcome to the Movify Your Life show. I'm your host, Jessica Grace Coleman, and as ever, I hope you've been having an amazing, incredible, magical, Movified week. Now, before we get into today's topic, which is another pick for my Movify Book Club, I just want to tell you about a few things going on in what I call the Movify Your Life cinematic universe. Now, if this is your first time listening to this podcast and you have no idea what I'm talking about, or what Movify Your Life is, then I encourage you to check out my website at movifyyourlife.com. And that's 2 Y's in the middle. So you can get a taste for all things Movified, and you can find that link in the show notes of this episode as well. Basically, in a nutshell, if I'm able to do things in a nutshell, I gave myself a challenge in 2024 to Movify my life, to make it feel more epic and magical and meaningful, like all my favorite uplifting movies and TV shows. Because 2024, it was like the worst year of my life. And I wanted to give myself hope for the future, basically, and sort of mix light in with the sadness. And I knew that having a creative project to focus on would be very cathartic for me, and it was. And I filmed everything on my phone, and I made it into a feature-length movie-mentary, which is a documentary with a twist that is available to watch on YouTube for free right now. Link to that in the show notes as well. So that was the start of everything. I also then, because I'm a writer, I wrote an accompanying book, which delved even deeper into my year of movification, as I say, and the 10-step framework that I created that you can also follow along with to movify your own life. And from there, I rebranded my podcast, it used to be a travel podcast, to the Movify Your Life show. I started my main character memo mailing list that goes out every Movify Monday with all kinds of tips, tricks, and hopefully motivational stuff to help you Movify your life. I started posting on social media, all the things. And actually, that's kind of the first thing I wanted to mention. If you don't follow me on Instagram or Facebook, please do. I'm putting a lot of time and energy and effort into creating some really fun and often very silly videos and content, and I would love for you to check them out. So you can find me on Instagram at Movify Your Life, and on Facebook also Movify Your Life, so you can search for that, or by heading to the show notes where you'll find the links to my social media, my Movimentary, my books, my mailing list, everything I've just mentioned. So yeah, I'm basically mentioning it because I'd love to connect with more of my movie stars, as I call you, in this community. So please follow me, send me a message, I'll reply, because sometimes when you have a podcast, it can feel like you're talking to no one. So this is a great way to connect and keep in touch. And also, at the time of recording, one of the silly reels I posted last week was a Wuthering Heights inspired one because I went to see that at the cinema. I filmed it with my friend Leona, who I met at a business networking event. We thought we'd help each other with our content. And basically it involved me running around some fancy gardens in a red cape and looking very sad all the time. Luckily, no one, well, I don't think anyone saw us. There was a chance someone saw me running around in a cape and went, nope, I'm not engaging in this, and ran away. But yes, these are the lengths I go to create my reels. So please go and check them out. at the time of recording, the Wuthering Heights inspired one is pinned to the top of my Instagram profile grid thingy, so you can check that out. And the second thing I want to mention before we get going on the Movify Book Club pick is my brand new, drumroll please, Daily Movify Prompt Club. Now, at the time of recording, I haven't actually started this, but I know it's going to be a few weeks before this episode comes out. So I am sort of preemptively, is that a word? I'm preempting it by mentioning it here now. And that means I have to get everything done by the time this episode comes out. It's also a bit of a sort of trial and error thing. It's something I'm trying out. If it doesn't work, then I'll stop it. But if it does, then great. And basically, it's going to be a daily prompt club. It's a paid subscription, like under £10 a month, very, very inexpensive, where you receive daily prompts via WhatsApp that help you movify your life one day and one baby step at a time. Because we all know, and I've mentioned on this podcast many times, that baby steps can add up to huge, amazing things. So there'll be things like journaling, suggestions, meditation, things you can meditate on, exercises, tasks, things to reflect on, actions to take, mini challenges I'll be encouraging you to try, and loads more. And like I say, you can pay monthly. It's under £10 a month, or annually, in which case you'll get a month free. And I'm also currently working on a VIP annual option, which will include a couple of extra things. Now, at the time of recording, I haven't finalized these things, but I'm thinking of like a community space for you to connect with others in the group, other prompters. So you can say what you've done, what you've got out of them. You can inspire each other with what you've done, a space to gather ideas and how you can apply the prompts to your own life and situation. And I'm also thinking about doing some kind of quarterly virtual workshop based on the prompts, based on the whole idea of movifying your life with little steps. So, as I say, it's not available at the time of recording, but it will be available by the time this episode is released. So you can head to movifyyourlife.com/prompt club, and I'll pop that link in the show notes as well. And I truly believe that, yes, doing something huge like movifying your entire life or your entire year, like I did in my moviementary, can be life-changing. But I also believe that small daily changes, tweaks to your mindset, reflections on the past week and what you've done and how you've grown and all that good stuff can be just as life-changing. And it doesn't require some big, huge leap right now. And also it's going to be really fun because it's all going to be movie-themed and movified and just a lot of fun. Good old-fashioned fun. So let's just start with baby steps and see how your life and the way you view it starts to change. Okay, so that's movifyyourlife.com/prompt club. I can't wait to see you there. And now I have to go and finish setting it up, don't I? Okay. Anyway, let's get to the main part of the episode, my pick for this Movify Book Club episode. And it's actually the sequel to my last Movify Book Club pick, which was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. And you can hear all about that book by going back to episode 186 of this podcast. So, as you've probably guessed, I enjoyed that book so much that I immediately ordered the sequel, which is called Nothing Like the Movies. And I have to say, with a title like that, considering the first one was Better Than the Movies, I wasn't sure if it would be a good pick for the Movify Book Club. I wasn't sure if it would be anything like the movies. But it's obviously set in the same world with the same characters. And while the main characters, who are Liz and Wes, have grown up a little in this book, it's like a couple of years later. And while Liz isn't quite as sort of head in the clouds, imagining everything like a scene in a movie like I do in this sequel, I still really enjoyed it. And I wanted to go through my favourite parts, and especially the parts that are particularly movified. So if you're interested in sort of these kind of like rom-com books and you haven't read Better Than the Movies, maybe go back and listen to episode 186, as I said, of my podcast first, before listening to this episode. And while I've tried not to give away too many spoilers, both in that episode and I'll try in this one as well, I mean, it's impossible to not give anything away. So if you want to be totally spoiler-free, I won't be offended if you skip this episode or if you come back to it after you've read the book. Okay, so I'm going to start with the book description taken from the Amazon page. And remember, if you don't want spoilers from this book and the first book, cover your ears right now. Okay. Wes had his dream girl, but then he lost her. And the only way to get her back is to scheme like a rom-com hero. For a few beautiful months, Wes and girl next door, Liz, were together. But right as the two were about to set off to UCLA together, tragedy struck and their relationship ended. Flash forward, and Wes and Liz find themselves in college together. In a healthier place now, Wes knows he broke Liz's heart, but is determined to make her fall back in love with him. And he has a foolproof plan to win her back with the rom-com-worthy big gestures she loves. Only Liz will have none of it. Wes has to scheme like a rom-com hero to figure out how to see her. Even worse, Liz has a new friend, a guy friend. Still, Wes won't give up and is determined to win back Liz's affection. But after his best efforts get him nowhere, he's left wondering if their relationship is really over for good. Nothing like the movies is perfect for hopeless romantics, lovers of grumpy sunshine energy. I never know how you meant to say that. Grumpy sunshine energy, like a trope. A grumpy person and a happy person, I guess. And for fans of Emily Henry and Ali Hazelwood. Right. Now my thoughts. This is another great cover with lovely graphics of a couple doing things right out of romantic movies. So we have a Singing in the Rain homage, a Titanic moment at the front of a ship, and a Love Actually card montage thingy as well, which I actually spoofed in my Movify Your Life moviementary because, well, that scene is just so spoofable, isn't it? Spoofable, is that a word? So many people have done it. I did it, and it's on this cover as well. Like the last book, each chapter also starts with a quote from a famous rom-com or romantic movie, and there were quite a lot of film quotes in this one from films I haven't seen or hadn't even heard of, so she did a lot of the more obvious ones in the first book and obviously didn't want to repeat them. So I might have to check those out. There's also a soundtrack list in the back of the book, just as there was in the first book, and as there are in quite a lot of romance books these days. It does include the obligatory Taylor Swift song, or a few. They're always in the list, in the soundtrack list. Now, just a bit of a warning, this book is pretty sad compared to the last one. One of the big storylines is that Wes's dad passes away, and as someone whose mum passed away not too long ago, I can find reading about this kind of thing a little, well, sad. So just a bit of a warning if you've also recently gone through the loss of a parent or someone else close to you, as you may or may not want to read this.
Okay, movie star, real talk. Are you tired of feeling like a background extra in your own life? Then it's time to step into the spotlight and activate your main character era. And I've got just the thing to help you do it. Grab my free Movie Star Alter Ego Starter Kit, your behind-the-scenes pass to creating the bold, brave, action-taking version of you who goes after their dreams like the star of a blockbuster. Inside, you'll discover how to design your alter ego, choose your transformational item, pick your theme song, and build the rituals and confidence cues you need to start living your life like the epic movie it was meant to be. So, if you're ready to rewrite your script, roll camera, and finally take the lead, head to movifyyourlife.com/free to download your free starter kit now. That's movifyyourlife.com/free. Your next scene starts today. And now, let's get back to the action.
Okay, now let me go through the parts that I dog-eared in my book as I was going through it. Sorry, book, but I knew I'd forget otherwise. And just as in the first book, which I mentioned in the other episode, I enjoyed the kind of language Lynn Painter uses when describing a scene or a moment that you could really picture being in a film or TV show. So there's this part. I'm just going to read out the quote. "I'm not sure if things got quiet or loud, blurry or hyper-focused, but I know the universe changed as I looked at Liz, everything melting into impressionistic streaks of fuzzy background colours." So it's like a scene in a movie when a character is hit with that whole love at first sight thing, or second sight, when they see someone they used to know or love but haven't seen in years. And then there's also this moment. "I felt like 1,000 memories of her smiling at me, laughing with me, tangled up in my arms in my dorm room, swirled together and crashed into my lungs like a 90-mile-an-hour fastball." And he is a baseball, I want to say pitcher, but I don't know much about baseball. He's a baseball guy. So we all know the kind of like memory montage, and we can picture that like it's on a screen in front of us in a movie. I also just wanted to include this bit because I'm a huge Gilmore Girls fan. And you'll know this if you've watched my moviementary, because I went on a huge epic trip to New England to chase down the sort of Gilmore Girls Stars Hollow vibe. And this is also a bit of a throwback to the first book, Better Than the Movies, where Liz creates soundtracks for moments in her life, both in her head and by actually listening to the song as something happens around her, which I talked about in the other episode. So it goes, "Ever Since New York played in my AirPods, an underrated Harry song, and also, in my opinion, a total slice of autumn. Even though it was warm in LA, my head was already Stars Hollow, vibing because the fall quarter had officially arrived. Which meant my playlists were buried in musical piles of freshly raked leaves. Yes, it's a little too early for a PSL playlist, but I don't care." Yep, totally relatable. It's pretty much always Stars Hollow vibes in my head, and I live for a PSL. And now I need to create my very own PSL playlist, and I can't actually believe I haven't done that before. Anyway, I also love this bit. Now I was making connections in my dream career. Before I was even a senior, it was huge. I assigned unwritten to this moment. I was always looking for a reason to steal it back from the hills anyway. Cranking it as I headed down Bruin Walk toward Morgan for my meeting with Lilith. I was visualizing a movie scene in my head as I walked through the busy crowds of students going to class, the music playing as the protagonist crossed the picturesque campus with a cheesy smile on her face. And then she includes some of the lyrics from the song. And she uses lyrics throughout the book to emphasize how the characters use songs and think about soundtracks as a way of adding more to a scene. And I totally get all of this. I love visualizing things that happen in my life as scenes in a movie. It was actually the basis for all my Movify Your Life stuff, so this really resonates with me. And Unwritten, Natasha Bedingfield, I think. It's such a good empowerment song, isn't it? Like, yes, and I'm going to have that in my head all day now. I also love this line, those Polaroid days of our first week at UCLA, because you can just imagine like a movie montage scene of like Polaroid photos piling up, showing the good old days, or looking back on a scene from your past with those rose-tinted glasses. And as I'm saying this, I'm actually realizing I did use the Polaroid type of thing at the end of my moviementary at the end credits. I've put Polaroid-style photos of the year, my year of movification, looking back over 2024. And it's a sort of sad song, but it's hopefully hopeful song playing over it. And I use Polaroid because it's like feelings of nostalgia, isn't it? And the past and the good times. And that's followed by yet another reference to Gilmore Girls I just had to include here. I'd piggybacked her down this very path when her shoes gave her blisters, and she joked that we were like Jess and Rory at Yale. If Jess had wanted to go to Yale, and Yale was hot, and had leaves that only turned marginally yellow. And then it talks more about Liz assigning songs to moments. She'd assigned in between to what she called our Wes-Liz montage. God, I love a good montage, both in movies and in life. And also I have to point out that although he shares my name, I am not Team Jess when it comes to Rory in Gilmore Girls, unless you're talking about Jess in the revival, A Year in the Life, because he grew up a lot, and is pretty good in that. But I'm also not Team Dean or Team Logan. So they were just all kind of dicks, really, weren't they? Anyway, if you watch Gilmore Girls, you know what I'm talking about. If not, you'll have no idea. But I am definitely Team Luke and Lorelai, always. Anyway, I got sidetracked. There's also a little kind of meta moment when Liz is watching a baseball game, and after describing how good it was, she thinks it had been better than the movies, I swear to God, which was the name of the first book, which I enjoyed. I'm impressed by the little things, what can I say? And as in the first book, there were also lots of references to specific movies, movie lines, movie characters, and lots of movified language like plot twists and all the talk of choosing soundtracks for certain scenes and viewing moments like they're in a movie. Basically everything I talk about in Movify Your Life. So that was pretty cool. I also liked this bit, even though it's sad. I wish I believed in ghosts. I sat there on the one remaining chair in the secret area, wishing I could feel my dad's presence. It was the last time I'd ever be out there in the dark by the fire, the last night I'd ever see the inside of that house, and I knew if I were in a movie, I'd find his old steel-toed boots and somehow know he was proud of me. And I often think about that, like if this were a scene in a movie, this would happen. But maybe that's just me being weird. What have we got now? Yes, here's just another instance of choosing a certain piece of music for a certain moment, which works especially well when talking about nostalgic things. Gathered around the biggest table out there were my old friends, and it was like a snapshot of the before. My brain grabbed the chorus of old days and wrapped it around the moment. And I really love the words and the sort of visual imagery of a song wrapping itself around the moment. I thought that was lovely. There's also a big movie-like rom-com big gesture moment, which I won't give away, but it had to be done in a book like this, I think. And it's always fun to think of people actually doing stuff like this in real life, like inspired by the movies. Like, I'm aware this is a book and it's a work of fiction, but I have heard of plenty of real life sort of magical movie moments, big rom-com gestures, which I love, and I think there should be more of it in this world. Why not? And I love this bit too. I couldn't see him, but his laugh was unmistakable. I could close my eyes and be so many places with that laugh. That laugh was the cohesive thread, the little recurring melody that showed up in so many scenes of my life, like Mia and Sebastian's theme in La La Land. Always there, playing in the background. Love it. Love the reference to La La Land, beautifully shot film, and the idea of a kind of recurring theme, a motif running throughout your life or throughout a relationship or friendship, like picking a song that keeps popping up in whenever you hear that song, you think of that person or that time in your life, I think is really cool. And then right at the end, there's a page that is written and formatted like a scene from an actual screenplay. So you can picture the final scene, like really visually. You get the description of what is meant to be seen on the screen. They tell you which song is playing. And it's just, I think it's a really fun way to end a book or two books about the movies. I really enjoyed that bit. And of course, it ends with fade out. And I really loved that little touch. So I don't want to ramble on because I don't want it to go on forever and I don't want to give too many spoilers. And also I'm really hungry and I need to go and get my dinner. But those are my favourite bits from the book, Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. You can find out more about the author and her books by going to her website, lynnpainter.com, or on Instagram at Lynn Painter Books, and that's Lynn spelled Lynn. I hope you enjoyed this Movify Book Club episode. I hope you check out Better Than the Movies and Nothing Like the Movies if you're into that kind of thing like I am. And remember to check out my brand new daily Movify Prompt Club, which will be up and running by the time this episode airs at movifyyourlife.com/prompt club, and start movifying your life in small, manageable ways right now. Thanks for listening. And until next Movify Monday, I'll see you on the red carpet.
Thank you so much for listening to the Movify Your Life show. Before you go, don't forget to sign up for the main character memo mailing list at movifyyourlife.com/list for exclusive tips, treats, and behind the scenes magic. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could please subscribe, leave a review, or share this podcast with a friend. Let's spread that Movify message far and wide because everyone deserves to live an epic life fit for the big screen. I'll see you next week for another Movify Monday. Until then, that's a wrap.